good morning, good afternoon, and welcome everyone in episode 270 of umbraCoffee. What a lineup we have today. We have so many guests that we were trying to find the best camera view for all of us here. So, starting from the top right corner on our view, Lucy and Matt, Kim and Filip, all from Umbraco HQ now. That's the good version. Hello everyone, how are you doing?
Good. Busy week.
Good.
But yeah, good.
Well, we'll get into the details of why it's busy. But of course, Lucy and Matt, you're actually in Unza right now. You're in the HQ, I believe.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And Kim and I chose the opportunity to both work from home today, so that's beautiful.
Yeah. And how's your week been there? What have you been doing? Has it been more like a induction week, or you do know a lot of people there already? You sort of know how it all.
Yes, surprisingly, not as many as I thought I knew. So yeah, there's a lot of meeting people, a lot of presentations. So yeah, it's been busy.
Yeah. Getting to know the lay of the land and a lot of new faces, but we've had such a warm welcome, so it's been great.
That's very good. Well, I guess yes. Let's dive right in, because there's a reason you're here. Not many people would have seen umbraCoffee last week because it was a bank holiday in most parts of the world, but we did still do umbraCoffee, and I did say that we were going to have you coming on. Of course, it was so difficult 2 weeks ago not to talk about this on umbraCoffee, and I know that maybe there was some tactical play in announcing this just slightly after umbraCoffee to MVPs and partners. But Lucy did give me a call on the Friday morning as well, just to let me know. And as I said to you at the time, don't want to burst your bubble, but there's no secrets when I'm around. So I may have.
But Callum, there is one question to Kim probably. Was the axe already prepared for Callum? Just in case. Just in case.
I would just say it's good to see you beautiful people and Mr. Communication Expert, Callum.
Yes, it's not my forte, but it was excellent news. And we had to keep it quiet, but we're really excited. We've now got you all here, so we can talk finally about the fact that Outfield, or Vendr and Konstrukt, has been acquired into the Umbraco family, which is amazing news. Congratulations. So where do we start? How does it feel?
Great. It feels surreal after quite a few months of discussion as to what we should do. So to get everything over the line and get all on the same page was really great, and was extremely fortuitous that it was on Vendr's third birthday that it was all made official.
It was.
So,
I think was it the same morning that there was a tweet out from Vendr going, "Oh, it was 3 years ago today that we launched this."
Yeah,
exactly.
Being sure not to send the wrong draft.
Indeed, yeah. Well, that's hugely exciting. And so you said this has been going on quite a long time. I guess there's a lot involved in acquiring a business, but also, like in this case, 2 products and 2 people. Acqui-hiring, I think it's called, isn't it?
Right.
That's the phrase we'll use from now on.
Yeah. How's that process been? Like, it obviously probably not something you've both done before.
Yeah, I think new things to learn and new things to think about, so alongside running the business and the products, lots of new things and many pages of contracts to read, but all to a good end. And I think we've all come at it from a really positive place. So it's something that when we realise the fit's right and it's the right time for all of us, that actually now it all makes total sense. So it's just the crossing of T's and dotting of I's that we needed to get through, really. And we got there.
And I think that we can also ask him, because it was your first acquisition, of course, but not the first for Umbraco. When the whole idea started on your side, Kim, and how the process from your perspective looked until now.
the answer to that question goes back a couple of years back to the process leading up to the acquisition Montero did on umbraco. umbraco is acquired as what in this terminology is called a platform acquisition, meaning that it's a platform there you can bolt on other services to this. So it's been very much clear to me that we would see acquisitions in this third phase of umbraco. And to us, it has been super important that venturing out on that journey, that we started out in our own backyard, so to say, being an open source community packages and so on and so forth, that we looked in that part of the garden and started there. We did Plumber. Admittedly, it came a bit faster than we had thought. But Matt and I had a chat at CodeGarden last year that kind of opened that avenue or that pathway to where we are today. So from the initial talks around what synergies do we have, what are your, what is Outfield's, Matt and Lucy's thoughts around the future for Outfield, for Vendr Konstrukt, and where would that fit into to us? And then, as it is with processes like this, very slowly in the beginning, and then towards the end, the intensity and the amount of more or less silly questions that needs to be answered in the due diligence process gets a bit more intense. We had actually hoped for that we have finalized before the day that we finalized it at, because then we could have broken the news in umbraCoffee. We were, of course, thinking of you, Marcin, and Callum on that. But unfortunately, 250 different lawyers came across, and I would rather have seen them in the bottom of the North Sea. But that's just the way it came out.
Sounds like it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
They've got to earn a living somehow.
Yeah, I was going to. It sounds like a lovely process. I've read recently a book called Built to Sell, and I think it is an interesting story at the moment because, of course, the whole e-commerce solution and software was changing their hands in the past as well. You've also inherited the part of the software that was a beginning of the e-commerce platform then. But was it ever an intention to sell or to be inherited, or did it come out of the maybe not out completely blue for you, Matt and Lucy, or was it ever planned before this initial discussion?
Yeah, and I think if you probably listen to any of the Package Manifest podcasts, we've probably discussed along those lines before. At the end of the day, I'm one developer. We were definitely getting to a point in Vendr where there was something that was needed. So we were either looking at employing somebody or growing a team. But yeah, acquisition or the plan was always to go to umbraco and see if they were interested. I just didn't realize that they were interested this quickly. So like I said, when we were at that place where we were looking at like hiring people, even wrote the job description out to see, like, to look at getting somebody on board because we were getting to that place. But happened to go to CodeGarden, sat down with Kim, and we just realized, like, now's the time. The opportunity was there, so it just made total sense to do it now.
Yeah, and not just from a job description from a developer perspective either, but a salesperson, marketing, all of the things that you need to help a product grow. was certainly at the point that we were at. We'd taken it so far, and you know, wearing many hats to do many things works for so long, and then actually you need to grow a team. So it was fortuitous that we had the talk at Code Garden, Matt and Kim. So and as we've said, the timing was right, and the fit's right as well. So
here's a question you said about fit. Now this is perhaps slightly left field, but Umbraco, why Vendr? There is countless other e-commerce platforms out there. You could have chosen to buy another one that starts with a U, or you could have chosen to, which has been established for a lot longer, shall we say? And you could have also just chosen to, say, integrate with other e-commerce platforms like Shopify, build tighter integrations, as you have been doing under your DXP project. Equally, Team Outfield, why Umbraco? It's a logical option, but you could have also said, we'll sell it to a big agency group, or another company that wants to invest in, in the Umbraco community. So why?
I can take ours first. Really, it was all the missing bits, and they were coming up like with clients as well. So there were definitely customers that were really wanted to use our product, but were concerned it was just me. They were concerned about the support. Would I be available to answer questions? And Umbraco just fixed all of those in one go. So they've got the sales team, so there's people they can talk to and actually build those relationships that we had, but we're struggling to keep on top of and maintain. Support-wise, there's a massive SWAT team here that can deal with quite a lot of like the frontline support. And obviously all of that was taking time from me off of product development. So now I get to fully focus on the product and build a team specifically around the development, and just the support from Umbraco is just going to be immense in that regard. So it was a logical fit for us. So exactly.
Lovely. That's great to hear. Filip, do you have an answer on my Vendr?
Yeah, I think just to remove a little bit of the randomness that Kim was trying to say, like, I think it was clear from us, or to us, pretty early that commerce would be the obvious place to start the platform acquisitions, and when we looked at the commerce space, we really liked Vendr from a product perspective. It is super integrated with Umbraco. It's like, if you're an Umbraco dev, you more or less know how to use it without even trying, or without even reading documentation and stuff. So it's really native, and it has that great. I saw somewhere Matt saying that he likes the feeling where you don't know when Umbraco starts and Vendr ends, right, or the other way around. And I think that's exactly the user experience that we're going for. And then I think the other side of the coin of what Matt and Lucy was saying just before is that we saw a big potential here, because there's so much. We hear as well that people are a little bit afraid of buying Vendr because of, it's a small product, it's a small team, it's how can we get support? What when Matt steps in front of a bus, and I mean, like, there's a lot of one-man risk, and we think we can take all of that away and then throw our sales and marketing people in front of it and really grow the product a lot. So we have high hopes.
That's awesome. I think for similar reasons as you've both said, actually. The one-man band, or the reliance on Matt's never actually been a problem for us. We've used Vendr fairly extensively, and I actually had a discussion with someone from HQ during this process where I said the biggest value of Vendr is actually Matt, in that we've been able to get access to Matt to ask questions and say, oh, we're going to try and do this really weird thing. Is that possible, or whatever? That, scaling that is definitely difficult. And I know that not everyone was getting that. So that was always going to be a challenge. But also the alignment with Umbraco, I don't like e-commerce. We don't like doing anything with payments, or it's horrible. Every time I've used any other e-commerce platform, we felt a bit, it's not been fun. It's been a headache. Vendr took all of those away, and it super aligned with Umbraco, so we could build solutions that were, you didn't have to understand e-commerce really. You just needed to understand Umbraco or the key concepts that we were already using in our project. So it just clicked in really, really well. And I can't say that about the other products. So yeah, it does seem like a really great fit for all parts.
I can add that yes, it's not random that we have chosen to go commerce first. I think around every week or so, sometimes twice a week, someone reaches out to us asking for whether we're interested in this and that, and very early it became very clear to us that we needed to start in commerce before adding anything else on top. And yes, there's a vast number of commerce solutions out there. Not all of them are relevant for us. Not all of them are for sale. Not all have the right quality and price point. So that's it's looking at what opportunities there are and see where's the most value to get for all. We have some have offered us the software, but no people. That wouldn't fly. Filip told me. So it was important to bring knowledgeable people on board as well in this process.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think that covers a couple of the questions that we already have on our list column, right? So that's a very good combination. We have one that might be good to take next, which is about what's next with Vendr and other products combined with Umbraco. Is there a roadmap being discussed? Is there any features that are already placed somewhere in the next phases? Because of course the combination
beyond this whole V13 BackOffice rewrite thing, which incidentally, Matt, on the recent, was it Lottie's Packages question time, you were asked, what's the plan for V13 for you and Vendr Konstrukt? You said, oh, I'm just going to kind of see what HQ do, which was
makes sense though, right? Makes sense.
But ignoring that, we know that's going to be a big project in the next 6+ months. So what does the next 18, 24 months hold for Vendr as a roadmap? Do we know yet? It's only your first week or second week, to be fair.
And Konstrukt.
Yeah, I think me and Filip have already sat down, so we've got a 6-month roadmap for what we're going to be looking at. Headless all feature, payment providers, making those pluggable with external services. Probably don't want to commit too much more because there's a short period. I've got a lot of onboarding still to do. So, but we're definitely looking for this 6 months, and then I'll be working with Boletta to look at what makes sense or what's happening in the e-commerce space, and then as well as listening to customers as well, and see what new features and what direction to take things.
I'm really happy to hear that headless is a focus, because we are doing pretty much every vendor implementation we've done has had a headless element, let's say, or in some cases fully headless with headless payments and everything for mobile apps, etc. And it's been a bit painful, let's just say. So if it was natively supported, that would be great. When we're talking about headless here, and we're not going to hold you to this, you can no comment if you want. Are we talking about V12 type open API that's going into core, or having this as a potential offering in hardcore as well, longer term? I'm not saying 6 months, but is that the plan? What's the plan?
The immediate plan is to align with what's in core, because that will in turn also align with what's in hardcore. When Vendr will be available in hardcore, we haven't decided.
But it's a potential.
I mean, that would only be natural that we, look at how our products fit together. And I think headless and commerce is an obvious fit.
Where does Konstrukt fit into all of this then? So Konstrukt, obviously, Matt, it started life as Fluidity, didn't it? Back in, was it it was for V7, and then there was no V8 version, and then you released Konstrukt for V9 and beyond, because we're anticipating a lot of changes, a lot of rework, and you were a little bit busy with Vendr, should we say? So it, if you don't mind me saying, it always felt like it was a bit of a passion project for you rather than a thing that you were like with lots of demanding customers asking for features and things. So how does that fit into this overall roadmap? How important is that in the bigger picture in HQ with regards to Vendr? And are we going to see new features added to that? Is it going to get maintained as it has been? What's the deal?
We don't know. It's always been a passion project of mine for sure. My focus is going to be on the commerce side, but we know the value of Konstrukt, and even internally we've been doing presentations this week, and HQ team have been looking at it for their internal solutions and seeing how good it is in that regard. So it's definitely going to be around. We just need to find where that space is, I think.
And it's going to change up quite a lot with V13 anyway, because new concepts, new things. But then with the new back office being very much more componentized and modularized, it might make a little bit more sense to have more of a framework around that for building things as you've already established. So maybe a slightly longer term plan, but I think it has a place still.
One thing that I've mentioned, Callum, this week for some of the developers was like, this is the kind of developers experience in this DXP shortcuts, because that affects developers directly. And in this case, might be a little bit an addition to kind of commercial offerings and commercial expansion of Umbraco. But still, there's plenty of developers doing development on top of it in Umbraco. So that would be really interesting to see where it will evolve, because as Paul mentioned here and a couple of other our viewers right now mentioned, it feels like a core for the people who are doing a lot of the core implementations or custom sections or extensions. So yeah, that's how it's seen, at least from now.
Maybe a quick question for Filip. We've talked about roadmaps here. Are we going to see a published Vendr roadmap, as we have we have the big Umbraco roadmap? Possibly we need a DXP roadmap separate to that now, because they're both just so big. But would we ever see Vendr either included in that roadmap or have its own roadmap, or as part of a wider commercial products roadmap?
Yeah, that's the plan, that we intend to do what we do for all of our other products and have public roadmaps for Vendr as well. Whether it's one roadmap that you can filter or it's multiple roadmaps, I don't know. That's probably not important. But yeah, we do intend to be as transparent with this product as we are with all of our other products.
Awesome. It's really exciting. So we've talked a little bit about product and roadmap. Not only have you acquired 2 great products, but you've also acquired 2 great people. So Matt, Lucy, maybe you want to tell us a bit about what you're doing, because your roles are going to change slightly from what you've been doing recently. I know that Matt, you're continuing to work on Vendr, and Lucy, you're now within the DevRel team, but maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll be joining Emma's team in DevRel, and my initial tasks will be reaching out to community in terms of your profiles, looking at the community site as well to see how we can improve that and make it a bit more user-friendly, and how we can showcase the things that are going on in the community in a bit more of an impactful way. And so that will be my initial tasks going forward. And here to chat to any good community people and see what's going on.
Exciting. That's almost like expanding on your capacity as the code cabin organizer, where you were reaching out, finding new people to apply, encouraging new faces, organizing that event, and now expanding that to a kind of a whole community. And
yeah, that's it. So I think it's a good fit again.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more from you if your job is effectively community outreach. So
yeah, thank you.
Great. And Matt, what are you doing?
Yeah, so my role is going to be commerce technical team lead, and obviously that's a team of 1 right now. But that role is very strategic in that the plan is definitely to grow an actual team around commerce. So I'll be heading that up, and hopefully, well, to start with, I'll be carrying on as I have been doing, focusing on Vendr, especially with these this current roadmap. But yeah, the definite plan is to build an actual team around commerce and make it way better than I could have done as an individual. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Does that team sit under the wider commercial products team, or is it its own team? Are you sharing some resources there? Like, could we see people like Nathan and Andy and Ronald working on Vendr, or are they staying fairly separate from that? This might be a question for Filip as well. I guess that's more your bag.
Well, so they're two separate teams, but they live in the same, what we call, group. So Andy is the group leader for the DXP initiative, and that has the commercial products, and then it now has a commerce team. And the reason why we're doing it that way is because commerce is such a big scope that you can't really do commerce and much more. And whereas forms and deploy and plumber or workflow, like, they're kind of in a place now where the team members can help out some more on the other products. So I mean, we might see Nathan work with Matt on the V13 rewrite, because Nathan is working on that already for some of the other products and for the general back office stuff. So we'll see people being swapped around here and there, but there are two separate teams in the same group. So I think they'll be doing stand-ups together and stuff. So there's a lot of collaboration between the two.
So there's a clear intention here that there's going to be investment in this longer term. So
yes.
You see this, you see Vendr as a product growing within Umbraco. What does that entail? Are we going to see some integrations, more payment providers? For example, I know that Anders has just moved over to Struct. They are a PIM product. Yeah. It's all very well timed. Could we see better PIM integrations? Because those aren't things that have really existed, and are something that Umbraco are pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would very much expect that the team at least doubled by the end of the year, but hopefully even more than that. And I mean, the first thing to take care of is probably all the peripherals around Vendr. So like all the payment integrations, hopefully with the new features on the roadmap, also starting to see shipping integrations as well as plugins. We'll continue to keep the open source nature, where those packages are open source and where we will have other people contribute their own integrations and stuff. But yeah, that's an obvious place for us to invest some effort, because I think that really grows the overall value of the offering.
Shipping integrations is high on my list of things, because it's always felt a bit odd that you've got payment methods which are tied to a provider and shipping methods which are not. Like, it would be cool if they were tied to something, so I could do tracking and whatever else.
Automated labels printing, stuff like that.
I've got a few loaded questions now. Let's do it.
Yes.
Will Vendr be rebranded? Are you going to change the name? Maybe to like Umbraco Commerce or something, which is definitely not going to upset anybody.
The name will change. Yes.
I mean, the Vendr name itself is a little problematic, isn't it, Matt and Lucy? Because literally at the same time you launched, someone else launched with an almost identical logo, and
a good time after, but they still did it. Yeah. We were.
They got the .com and you got the .net. Like, okay.
Yeah, they redid their website at one point and actually linked to our Twitter account on there.
We still don't own the coffee shop as well.
Yeah, the coffee shop that owns umbraCoffee on Twitter has gone bankrupt many years ago, and we just can't get them anyway. Someone in China has bought umbraCoffee.com now, so
nice.
Yeah.
So we will do a rebrand, but you're gonna have to wait to Code Garden to find out what it will be.
Right. Speaking of Code Garden, I know that in the recent CG Rumors office hours, Steffi said there's 2 speakers to be announced, and I don't know who one of them is, because it's only a few people know, and it was lots. But one of them's up against Marcin, one of them's up against me, and I noticed now Matt is up against me. So Matt, you're going to be talking at Code Garden, I guess, on Vendr or something.
Maybe.
Actually, me.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So we'll hear something at Code Garden. Yeah, I'm assuming. Well, you know what? In the chat, let us know what you think the new name is going to be. It'll be interesting to see. It's probably going to be Umbraco something, right? But yeah, let's see. This could get nice and confusing because you've got lots of other Umbraco and then commerce words for various things. You've got the Umbraco store. Is it the U Swag store or whatever? For the thing you've got. Umbraco shop, which is where you do all the payments for everything. So this, could get nice and interesting. But I look forward to seeing what the new name is. Where do we see Vendr fitting in the sort of bigger market of e-commerce platforms? So, like, why would someone go for Vendr over building a Shopify site or WooCommerce or one of these really accessible, free or cheap commerce platforms? Why would someone choose the officially owned Vendr over, say, WooCommerce or something like that? Where are you targeting Vendr at?
On a general level, not on a technical level, but on a general level, there's commerce solutions in some markets. Not all are in all markets. So that's a variant there. Some commerce solutions are enterprise, others mid, thirdly some low. So that's a variant there as well. So and we believe that customers' needs are different. So even though that you look in the Nordics, in the mid-market, you as a customer would like to have a different number of options to pick and choose from. So although I would like us to sweep the table completely for commerce with Vendr on board, I don't believe that's the case. Customer preference, budget, timing, complexity, preferences, recommendations, referrals, and so on and so forth will ensure that there's room for more than one commerce solution in a particular segment in a particular market. So that's room for several players there. If we have learned anything from COVID, is that the digitalization continues full steam ahead, and that commerce is an important factor there. So we believe that the market will grow in all segments, in all geographies. So that's room for more than just one. We see this also along the CDXP thinking we have, that let the best product win. Customer has a certain preference. Let the best product win.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, the community and agencies and individual customers will choose the product that fits best with them, won't they? So if WooCommerce has all the integrations that they need, they'll go with WooCommerce. If there's the case studies to back up a certain platform, they'll go with that. And equally for Vendr, we've done a bit of work with Matt to kind of prove how much Vendr can scale and what its limitations are, and where you do different things. So like where you'd swap out Umbraco for a PIM or something like that. And yeah, it's interesting. Vendr definitely fits very well with, I would say, the typical sized Umbraco site, and at least the larger ones we do as well. It fits perfectly. We wouldn't choose anything other than Vendr for handling any form of payment, just because it takes a lot of that pain away. So it can go from everything from a single. We built a invoice payment form where someone can go and just say, this is my invoice number and here's the amount I need to pay, and it just charges them, all the way up to very complex e-commerce stores. So it's definitely a good player in all those spaces.
Yeah, we think
and customers can use the code in far more creative ways than we can ever think of, which became very clear that we during the process made some calls to Vendr customers to hear what they thought of the product, and the variety in the usage were huge. So yeah.
But at the same time, you've mentioned that there is a room for others, and I think that at the same time there are a lot of platforms, for example, for digital products or things like that. And Gumroad is one of the examples that I at least used. And there are some platforms that integrate with both, and there is a space for using one or another over sometimes. But everything can be built as well, and that's the beauty of this extensionability. And I think this is where Vendr also wins a lot, because it was easy to extend as well when it comes to just e-commerce, but with the process next to it. So that's exciting, and I think this is also great to follow, because in COVID helped with a lot of speed in the e-commerce markets, but right now the speed is still maintained. So there's a lot to observe still in the market. So, yeah.
Can I ask a similar question, but this is the big one that everyone wants to know, and it's maybe more for Kim than anyone else. Pricing. So Vendr previously had 4 or 5 pricing options. You had Vendr Lite, which was 50 or 60 euros a month, and it was a subscription thing with some limitations. You had Vendr on a monthly subscription, which was, I believe, Matt, you can correct me, 99 euros, maybe less.
85.
85. Kim knows his numbers. And then you had a one-time license, 1,500 euros, which supported you for upgrades for 12 months, and after that you couldn't upgrade. And then there was an upgrade license of 600 euros, which you could pay anytime you wanted to upgrade. As of the 1st or 31st of March, you go to your pricing page, and the pricing is now one option. There is no other options. It is 199 euros per month on a subscription, on a rolling basis. So my question is this: why the move to subscription only? Why the 235% price increase? And what about your, say, smaller customers, the non-profit sector, charity sector, which is huge with Umbraco, where you've sort of maybe lost their interest by pricing something at the price you have compared to before, where you had, say, 50 or 60? Sorry for the loaded question.
Yes.
What's the rationale behind the pricing and the strategy? Is the gist?
And is this as the final pricing as well, or there are some plans to maybe change it after the product rebranding as well? That's the full question.
Marcin, thank you very much for that comment, because what it reads is introductory price.
Okay.
And it is with pricing that you don't know whether you hit your price point before you tested it out in the market.
Yeah.
So we are testing this out and see where that takes us. We during the due diligence, we had interviews with customers, and one of the standard questions in such a process is, what do you think of the price point? And would you still buy if it was X% higher, and so on and so forth. So that's part of the thinking behind that. As to the recurring revenue contra one-time license, recurring revenue is the name of the game.
Yeah,
we need to have recurring revenue. So that's a no-brainer. It's more a question on where is the price, but we need to turn it into to recurring revenue. So that answers that. As to the 199, we believe putting the Umbraco brand behind adds some significant value to the product. The service that we can add to customers using this has a significant value. So we believe it warrants a price increase. But admittedly, it's an introduction price, and we will see. As to the non-profits, organizations, and so on and so forth, today our prices doesn't differ between non-profits and Fortune 500, but I'm pretty sure if you speak with our non-profit customers, they feel that they're being treated nicely. So I'm not promising discounts.
I think my comparison there was more that previously, for a customer who was on a Vendr Lite subscription, they were paying $50 a month. And if we were take my simple use case where we have a form, which was for a charity where you go and you pay your invoice, and they were happy paying $50 a month, but they're probably not happy paying 4 times that for the exact same thing. So in this case, where it's a very, very simple use case, I'm interested how the price will go. I appreciate it's definitely a testing the waters thing as well. Also, I was going to point out on the recurring revenue point. So I've done my research, and obviously Plumber was acquired. Plumber, when you acquired it, had a one-time perpetual license of €900, which if you paid the outright thing, and I think a much cheaper €15 or something a month if you were to for a more basic version. I can't really remember. I know Nathan experimented with a few options over time, but it was €900. That went up 265%, but also became going from a perpetual license, it became an annual license fee. Currently, Plumber is more expensive than Vendr. So you pay 12 months of Plumber up front, you pay monthly for Vendr. Why the different strategies there? Can we see monthly pricing or annual pricing being more of a trend? Will we see those prices?
I think we will.
I heard that as we should raise the price on.
I'll regret saying this, but I think raising the price on Vendr is possibly okay, but maybe tiered pricing depending on what you're offering, and bring in something lower would be my view. I thought that Vendr Lite offering was very well positioned before. But that's my opinion. I'm sure others will have other views as well. People don't like paying money for things, do they? Even the annual price increase, if it's like 10%, people still lose their minds a little bit over it. So I'm not expecting everyone to be happy. I was just interested mostly in the strategy here, the reasoning for pricing as you have.
There's several. I appreciate the question. Pricing is some of the most difficult things. I'm sure Matt and Lucy can go through their own thinking 3 years ago on pricing. There's also just a different willingness to pay for something in the market, and we have seen, especially in the US, that if the price is too low, then it's worth nothing. And so the individual organization person's preference for price point varies very much across many factors. So it's testing the water, and we want customers to promote us. We want users to promote us, and the only general thing I can say is if customers think we are too expensive, then they will not promote us. If they think we are expensive, but they get value for their money, then they will promote us. So we are testing waters here, and we're definitely open to discussing things. Let's hear what the market says, and then we adjust accordingly.
I'll let you breathe for a second, Kim. We'll stop asking questions about pricing. But just quickly on the licensing, I believe anyone who's currently on a subscription, that's honored for the rest of 2023 with whatever you were paying, and that there's a form on the Vendr site currently next to the price that says basically already sold something into a customer, for example, contact us, explain the situation, let's discuss. So I guess if someone wanted to obtain an upgrade license or something, you can try and negotiate with the Suits team and see if they will see if they'll give you one.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
same for the non-profit thing. Like, reach out, talk to us. Like, we don't want to alienate people. We don't want to alienate our customers and our friends. Like, we want to, get the product out there. So absolutely reach out and talk to us.
Let's just to wrap up the kind of vendor chatter. I've got 2 more topics. The first is bigger picture. You've said this is your second acquisition. It's your biggest one to date. What else is missing from that portfolio of products? So this is clearly building on this, having a compelling DXP offering where you can say, we do commerce, we now do workflow. What are the other missing pieces, if you are willing to say?
I mean, if you look at the digital MarTech or whatever it's called landscape, there's like 8,000 categories or something. So it's like there's lots to pick from. I think we'll keep to ourselves what we'll be looking at next. But I think there's a lot of peripherals around commerce that would be obvious to look at, and then looking at what are our existing customers already using, what are they using third parties for today? And I mean, yeah, when we look at it, when we look at what to acquire, it's either who can bring us new customers or a new market, or who can expand on the market that we already have. Like, who can we sell to more to than that we already do?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's definitely obvious things that we've spoken about before, like search integrations and stuff that I know the DXP team have worked on. I know that personalization has been a focus in the community as well. These things are all asked for, so I'm sure it'll be very interesting to see how you grow. Maybe
may I just put a few words on this? There's also that's kind of two main paths. One is, for instance, legacy CMS. There's tons of agencies out there, also larger agencies, having a legacy CMS they have been building on for years, and realizing they can't keep up with that. That could be an acquisition if it's relevant for the clients there to come on Umbraco licensing. So that's building the customer base on this. The other track is the DXP thing, and the reasoning for us behind this is that we want to make Umbraco better. And we know that we need to add things to Umbraco in order to widen the breadth of our offering. So it needs to be complementary to Umbraco. So it's what is the most sought after. The MarTech landscape. There's some very, very niche products, bicycle repair shops in Northern Ireland. That would not be interesting unless we had a partner who owned all the digital platforms for those. So it tend towards the more generic ones, and then obviously, and we will shortly acquire ChatGPT.
Before it will acquire us.
It's an obvious next step. I was gonna ask if there's any future ones planned. Of course, you're not going to be able to tell us that, but perhaps the most popular weekly Umbraco YouTube channel would be a good start as well. The final point I wanted to touch on for overall strategy here is I've written here Umbraco famously said, but ultimately Niels famously used to say that Umbraco does one thing really well and nothing else. We're not going to mess with personalization or e-commerce, and now you are. What's changed?
So the CMS will continue to do one thing and one thing well, and that's why what we're adding is additional things around the product. So I think like the overall focus is the same, and then it's about as Kim said, as a platform, what else can we offer our clients? So we'll keep the CMS clear and free and small and light and fast, and keep it, like there's no special treatment in CMS for vendor or for deploy or for anything. It's a product that treats everybody equally, and we'll continue to do that. The same like in the marketplace. You can continue to find competitive commerce solutions, etc. And that's the whole point, right? Like that we wanna be able to offer some, but maybe we're not the right fit for the specific project, and we need that to have that everywhere.
And on that note, so if what is the decision to say buy versus build in that case? So you could have sat down and said, we're going to build an e-commerce platform to compete with Vendr and e-commerce. Why buy? If you are looking at personalization or other things, or maybe just the broader integrations you're building currently, when would you buy versus build? And I'll draw an example here being Usync, which has obviously been around a long time and has been doing, Kevin's been competing with Deploy, I would say fairly well. As a one-man shop. Would it have been better in hindsight to say buy versus build? Like where is the trade-off? Where's the balance there? Like from an investment and a end product point of view, what's the strategy?
Yes.
Yes.
That's no. I appreciate the question, but there's no simple answer to that. No. As to Usync, I've only been in the company for 7+ years. When we started doing US 10 years ago, a deployment tool was needed. I don't know if Kevin was around with Usync on that time. I don't know. But yes, it's something that you need to specifically on each occasion. What's the best buy or build? We know, as Filip is mentioning, we know how to build a good CMS, and that's where our forte is, and that's where we will concentrate our efforts. We would never have done a commerce acquisition if we hadn't brought Matt into this, and I'm forcing him to wear a helmet when he goes into the street, so he won't get something in the set, because that's super important for us, that we have the brains to work with that. And whether that's a more, Filip, please add, if there's a more technical angle to buy or build on this.
Yeah, I think you covered it fine. I mean, it is about like, what makes sense in each case. As for some of the integrations you asked about, Callum, I think it's also a matter of like, if we want to make Umbraco better by having an integration, and we've realized that an integration to Salesforce or something is important, then we'll try to convince Salesforce first that they should build the integration. But if they don't, then we will have to, if we need that integration to exist. And it's basically the same for the other parts. Like if we found out a niche that or something where a product was needed, if one was there, we would talk to them, and if none was there, then we would probably build it ourselves.
That's a perfect answer, I think. Thank you.
I want to add one sentence to that, because a couple of years ago we were not talking about the landscape and the whole DXP things as well. So things are changing as well, right? Because the acquisitions also were a new thing in kind of the whole landscape. So you never know, and that's probably the best answer here. And thanks for the explanations from both technical and non-technical things, because that's everything can change as well. That's probably the beauty of the future right now in the software, in the all landscapes as well. Yeah.
Marcin, because we've been talking a while, do we just very quickly want to run some news and some events as well?
Yeah, I think so. We can do that because, of course, it's not. It was a busy week as well, and we covered AI and ChatGPT things that we can also mention today. Maybe another potential for discussion. But yeah, of course, we can close the topic of the acquisition. We will definitely hear more on Code Garden and outside of it as well. And everyone is still more than welcome to share the feedback, information, and contact you about pricing and everything else that might be worth discussing and aligning and anything else like that. And yeah, Code Garden is the next checkpoint to discuss more and hear more. Other than that, releases, that's something what happened also this week. We talked about the product update last week, if I'm correct, but now we have an official 11.3 and 10.5 releases with some really cool new features and a lot of other updates. So probably, is there anything what we haven't mentioned, Callum? Probably all of it was.
My favorite one is the changes to the domain dialog here, and I think Paul Seal made some contributions to this as well to say, oh no, it's not. It's not actually there. There's a add current domain as an option as well potentially. But yeah, this is
maybe
all
for the next one.
Philip, is there anything major in this? I don't think they are. These releases are fairly small now, aren't they?
Yeah, by design, they're small now. If you want to try out some of the fancy stuff, go check out the V12 dev branch, see what's in there, and of course, we'll talk a lot more about that in a few months.
Exciting. So 11.3 and 10.5 is out. We also had some updates to deploy this week: version 4.8, 9.6, 10.2, and 11.1. I can't keep up. What's in this?
Yeah, so the main difference in deploy is language permissions. So today we have language permissions for editors, so they can only edit content, and now we also respect that in deployment, so you can only deploy the languages that you can actually edit. So it's a pretty small thing, and it probably should have been there from the beginning, but it's there now, and it makes a lot of sense.
That's really helpful. Lovely.
And one release?
Yes. So, of course, last week we spoke about ChatGPT. This week we spoke about ChatGPT, and now the Perplex team have released a ChatGPT integration. Last week's it was kind of using ChatGPT to generate placeholder text. Now we've got basically Clippy in the back office. This looks pretty cool. I know that Daniel from Perplex has been working on this, so we'll wait to see a bit more. It only got released this morning, so we've not had a chance to play with it just yet.
I think we should call it Perplexy.
And a couple of other just patches this week: BackOffice themes, BlockPreview, Limbo 23, Limbo video, and Passless as well, all updated on the marketplace. So a translation manager, I think, as well in there. There's a few updates.
Cool, and that's from the marketplace updates. Events, quickly to address and remind us all, 1 week is before the price will go up for Code Garden early bird tickets. So still plenty of time to secure the cheaper price for the tickets. And awards.
And Matt announced as a speaker this week, of course. So
yes, it's already mentioned.
I think Javier mentioned yesterday in a meeting that we've sold a little more at the same time this year than we did last year. So make sure you actually get a ticket before they sell out.
Oh, that's good.
Cool. That's really, really good. And the Umbraco Awards is probably the most important deadline mentioned today, because it's today. The submissions are closing, and I saw a lot of tweets reminding about it. So for everyone, once again, make sure that the nomination lands in the form before the deadline.
This includes package awards as well, doesn't it? So the deadline is 11:59 CET. So it is an hour behind that if you're in the UK, 10:59 in the UK, or even less if you're in the US. So you'll really have to get on this fairly quickly. Less than 12 hours to go.
Indeed. Cool. So we are looking forward for this nominations. And the set of events, nothing new probably on the list. So
there's a couple others, but yeah, breakfast. It's happening in New York. Good to see the community be engaged with in the US. New York and Chicago, I think we've got coming up next week. Yeah. We have Bristol doing talks on Wednesday next week. I think speakers there are still to be announced, but it's virtual, so anyone can join in. We have an Umbraco London foodie social or something, or maybe just a social. I'm not sure. Later next week, and then there is an Umbraco Newcastle meetup for the first time on Friday, where Bjarke will be there to speak, and Rick's going to be talking about decarbonising the planet, making things a bit more efficient. There's an Edinburgh meetup coming up. There's another Australian meetup coming up. There's many others happening. I've just not been able to list them. And of course, Code Cabin applications, which are open still until we put the link in every week, but July the 7th?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And what's the deal with Code Cabin now that this is everything's changed?
So the same, it's not affected by the acquisition. So Code Cabin was an independent event, nothing to do with Outfield. So while Matt and I were co-hosts, co-founders with Lee, and our other hosts, Lottie and Carl, we're still running it. And the only changes being now is that we did used to use Outfield's business, banking, etc., to sell tickets, but we need to take that. Well, we have taken that outside now. So the plan will be to look at how we can create its own entity. So I will be picking your brain at some point, Callum.
Yes, let's chat about that, definitely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then, Marcin, we have one final thing, which was a blog that came out this morning, a guest post on the Umbraco blog about accessibility testing and checking in Umbraco. So some more automated ways of doing this, which is really cool.
Yeah, great article, and definitely worth sharing. So please check it out if you are interested in accessibility and automation behind it. So we'll link it up in the description so it won't go anywhere far.
And sign up for the Umbraco Accessibility Day if you're interested.
Of course, yeah. Is the sign up open now? I didn't see that promoted.
I don't know. It's in May. I don't know.
It's on umbrad.com and it's on May the 18th. I don't know if they've announced the speakers or anything yet. Their CFP only just closed, so
CFP just closed. Yeah.
Let's wait and see.
Awesome. So that's all from our list and everything that probably was discussed.
I have a question for you, Marcin and Callum.
Yes.
Okay.
We expect, we have been working with, as I'm sure you recall me saying after the keynote at Code Garden last year, we have been looking at sustainability in Umbraco. And we are planning to make what we have called release a impact report in 5-6 weeks time ish, where we, amongst other things, are also looking into carbon footprint that we have and how we have done this. I don't know, would that be of interest for you?
Definitely. Ask umbraCoffee, Kim, because you should have. We spoke about this exact topic. There's the green solution category or sustainable solution category in the Umbraco Awards. And I said, how do you verify and quantify that a solution is actually green or as green as it says? And how can you prove that? And I know you mentioned this in your office hours at the end of last year. There's no governing body that can come around and give you the rubber stamp to say you are carbon neutral. So I'm really interested to see what you come out with in this report and how you've accounted for that sort of thing.
And that is precisely one of the points. I mean, we as to bookkeeping, which have been the double bookkeeping principle, which were invented 550, 60, 600 years ago. It's very precise now. We don't have the same for carbon footprinting, and so it's very difficult. But we have given it quite some thought and applied different methods to calculate that, and it could be very cool to share that to a wider audience. Also to get the feedback on this, because we don't believe that we have found the final solution to this.
Please share it. We'll definitely invite you on. We'd love to talk about that. Maybe we can fly over to a HQ with all our family as well to come and talk about it.
Yeah. But in a private jet.
In my company, we are only using private jets at the moment, so that's
cool.
But
thank you.
No, but that would be really, really interesting to discuss, and we mentioned it last week. And definitely, if it will be will it be released before Code Garden?
I would expect so.
5-6 weeks. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that would be really cool to address before. Then we can all monitor that and also be the committee behind it, because that will be great. And a lot of the people asked about how we can check it. And I know that this topic is also close to your heart, Filip, recently. So yeah, definitely let us know more, and we are always happy to share.
There's still applications open, I think, for a sustainability team, or maybe they've just closed. Philip, Kim, do you know?
I know we've had some pretty good applicants already. I'm not sure if it's already open or if it's already closed, but yeah, it's good. If you're interested, then reach out.
We'll make sure there's a link below for that if it's open.
April 19th. April 19th.
5 more days.
5 more days.
We'll definitely put a link down below for that. Fantastic.
Cool. So yeah, that's all for today. We'll probably combine the links and update them soon after the episode will be released. And let us know. There are some great names for the new Umbraco e-commerce sub-platform entity. So we'll save them. They will be saved on YouTube channel. We'll see who will win and predict. I think if anyone. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us once again. Big congrats to both parties for this move, and looking forward for everything what will come out of it and of anything else together next. And yeah, for everyone else.
Thanks for letting me grill you, Kim and Philip.
Yeah,
always a pleasure.
Thank you, Callum. Always a pleasure being with you.
Yeah, but thank you everyone for contributing with questions and helping us to shape this agenda and set of these discussion points today. As usual, like, subscribe, and sign up with another email to subscribe to our channel to get us to the 1,000 subscribers before the garden.
Your kids and pets and everything. We have to hit 1,000 this year. Have to hit 1,000.
Yep, whatever works. Help us. Yep, and thank you once again for joining us. And as usual, see you on another umbraCoffee. Have a lovely rest of the day and the weekend ahead, and see you soon, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.